Dear students, welcome back. And today we are going to look into the applications of the Schrodinger wave equation, particularly the time independent wave equation that we had derived in the previous class. So let's start with. So in this section, we use the time independent Schrodinger equations. This is what we have derived time independent Schrodinger equation for the different form of the potential energy function Vx to obtain the eigenvalues and eigenfunctions. So whenever we are going to find out the value of the energy, if the particle is freely moving, then we call that energy as the eigenvalue, and eigenfunction the wave associated with that particle. That is the de Broglie wave associated with that particle we are calling as eigenfunction. These solutions led to many interesting quantum mechanical predictions which have no analog in the classical mechanics. Broadly speaking, we consider the two type of the potential, right? So firstly, first is we are calling is the binding potential. Now this is very interesting, and this is what we are going to look into in the today's lecture. The potential which binds or restrain a particle to move in a particular region of space. That is what we are saying. Let us suppose here we have taken a potential box. This is your potential, right? So outside of this potential is infinity, we are saying, and here also it is infinite, and here we have put a particle. So what we are doing, here we have the infinite potential outside, here also we have the infinite potential outside. So you can just consider this as a very hard box through which the particle cannot escape. So if the particle is going to make the collision with this wall, it cannot escape. It can only rebound and come back. So under this condition, if it is going to move, so what can happen? It can only move up. And then if you are going to say this height is also infinitely high. So that region is called the binding potential. So the potential which binds or restrains a particle to move in a particular region of space. The solution of the Schrodinger equation with such potential lead to discrete energy state of the particle. So when we are going to derive the energy for this particle at the different height, so let us suppose this is your one height, this is your the second height, this is your third height. These are called your eigen values, right? So and that is your discrete. That we'll see through the when we'll find out the value. So this will not a continuous. This will be a discrete. That is from here to here you will have a particular gap. So here you will have a fixed value of the energy, and that energy is also going to be quantized, and it will be discrete. It will not be a continuous. The famous example of this category are a particle in a box or infinite square well, or a particle in a rectangular potential well of finite depth, and linear harmonic oscillator. So these are the different category within this, and one of the category just I have explained you in this example. So this is what we are going to look into in the today's class. The second part of this, the second way it can be studied is non-binding potential. So the potential which does not bind a particle to a particular regions of a space, so that the particle can approach from or recede to infinite distance. So now what we are saying, now let the particle be freely move in the space. So if it is going to move freely in the space, then what we are saying, we have not put any condition on that, right? Although discrete energy states are not obtained for such potential, there are other interesting quantum mechanical phenomena which come into the light. The famous example of this category are step potential and rectangular potential barrier. And after the concluding the first part, anyway, we are going to do in the detail. And after doing this first part, that is the binding potential, after doing this first part, I will tell you some of the example as we are saying the step potential and the rectangular potential barrier. So how it works, that we'll discuss, so that you will have some understanding, because this has also a lot of applications. For example, you must have heard the name of the tunneling microscope, right? So how the tunneling microscope is used at the atomic level to magnify the image. So all those things, the bit of this application I will show you, so that you continue with a good interest in this. All right. So now let us start with the binding potential, that is the particle in one-dimensional potential box, and the height of which is infinitely long. All right. So particle in one-dimensional box. So let us suppose here this is your box, and in this box the particle is confined. That is, in the box that you are saying, here you have got the particle. Let us suppose this particle has got the mass m, and outside this the potential is infinity, and again outside this, as you can see here, the potential is infinity, and this is your infinitely long. As you can see here, I have put the symbol infinity, so it is infinitely long box, right? So this potential wall is going to extend to the infinite height. So what we mean, this particle cannot escape this potential wall. Whatever the energy you give to it, it cannot escape, because it is moving inside a rigid wall. This is what we can say. This is infinitely, so its energy will always be less than the energy of the wall, so therefore it is not going to escape this. In this condition, what will be the energy if it is moving from the different parts of this box? So what is the energy associated with the particle, and that energy will be called as the eigenvalues, and what is the wave function associated with that, and that will be called as the eigenfunctions. So this is what we are going to look into, right? So now let us start with. So what we are saying, let us consider a particle of mass m confined to one-dimensional rigid box of length a. So what we have taken here, the length of this potential box from here to here, we have considered is a. A is the length of this potential box, which is written over there. Here I have already written it, right? Let the particle restricted to move along the x-axis between x equal to 0 and x equal to a. So the particle is going to move like this from x equal to 0. This is 0 position. This is 0 position, and it can come only up to here, and this is your up to a. So it is going to move between x equal to 0 and x equal to a by infinitely hard wall of the box. Why we are calling infinitely hard? Because its potential is very, very high. The non-penetration of the wall implies that the potential energy Vx can be taken infinite outside the box as shown in the figure. So this I have already explained you. So that is infinite, its potential is infinite outside this box. Okay. So this is the condition that we are imposing, that Vx is equal to infinity for x less than 0. That is, x less than 0 is this zone. The zone that has been set is x is less than 0, and it's a greater than a is over here. So if we here now the second condition we are taking, x is greater than a. So outside this, that is what is left out, this region is left out. So outside this region the potential is infinity. That is, here we have the infinite potential, and here also we have the infinite potential, right? So outside the box we have the infinite potential, and therefore the particle is not going to escape this, and this is what I have written it mathematically. Assuming that the particle is completely free inside the box, now what we are saying, now there is no restriction in the movement inside this box. It can move from in this way, x direction like this, so it can move like this. There is no restriction. As long as it want to go, it can go, right? So within the box there is no restriction, right? So if there is no restriction of the particle to move in a confined box, then it will behave just like a free particle, just like a gas particle. And in case of the gas particle, what is the potential energy? The potential energy of the particle is 0. So here it is moving freely, and therefore what we will say, the potential energy of the particle is going to be 0 within the box, not outside the box. That is, at x greater than 0 and at x less than a. So between this box, within this box, since it is going to move freely, and therefore its potential energy is going to be 0, right? So these are the two conditions that we have given. The particle is there, particle has the mass m, and this has been confined within this boundary with the infinitely long potential wall, and therefore it is a free particle, and the potential energy for a free particle is going to be 0. Now we have already derived the Schrodinger time independent equation in one dimension, and this we have seen E psi x is equal to h bar square upon dm. This is your h bar square. So you should remember h bar is equal to h upon 2 pi. H bar square upon 2m del square psi x upon dx square plus v psi x. This is the value that we have derived. So E psi x is equal to h bar square upon 2m del square psi x upon del x square plus v psi x. This is your value according to your Schrodinger time independent condition. So what I had told you, this equation is just like your Newton's second law of the motion, which contain all the information about its energy, momentum, position, all those things. So this equation I am going to apply in the given restrictions. That equation I am going to solve, and then as in that condition we are going to find out what will be the value of the energy. So this is the first task of this lecture. So the general solution of this above equation is, so the equation that you have seen there, so the general solution of that equation can be given as, because that is a double derivative differential equation, so that can be given as a sin kx plus b cos kx. So this will be your general solution for psi x, right? So because that was a differential equation of the second order, so its differential equation will be a sin kx plus b cos kx, that is psi x equal to a sin kx plus b cos kx, where k is nothing, that is your propagation constant. How we are going to take up the value of the propagation constant with your energy, that I am going to show you over here. All right. This can also be taken up in the complex form. We can write a e to power I kx minus omega t. This is exactly the same thing. A e to power minus I kx minus omega t also we can write and we can solve. So you can go in any way. Either you can take psi x equal to a sin kx plus b cos kx, or you can put psi x equal to a e to power minus I kx minus omega t. That way also you can solve. So with the complex form, I have already shown you the solution, how we had derived the Schrodinger time independent equation. Now here I am going to do with the sin x and cos x, right? So where a, b and k are constant. Now why we have called the constant a, constant b, and k, of course you know, is a constant. So just you try to understand what is your constant a and what is your constant b. So what we are saying, here we had a particle of mass m, and let us suppose it is moving in this direction. So naturally it will have a variable associated with this, and this variable we are calling as the psi, and this is what we are writing, psi x. This is what here we are writing, psi x. So naturally what we are saying, it will have a de Broglie wave. It will have a de Broglie wave, and de Broglie wave is going like this, right? So naturally it will have a particular value of the amplitude, and this amplitude will call as a. Now from here, since it cannot penetrate this, so it will have to return back. So what will happen? This particle will have to return back. Naturally, before it is going to return back, it will have to momentarily stop, because it is coming over here, and then after making the collision it is returning back. So here it will have to stop, and after stopping it is again returning back. Let us suppose this is the path in which it is returning back. So while it is returning back, it has reframed its wave, and the amplitude may not be the same as it was coming. So here you have the change amplitude, and this amplitude we are calling as b. So this is what we have written, a sin kx plus b cos kx. This just for your understanding why we have taken the constant a and the constant b. All right. Or free particle inside the box. The above equation may be written as, so this is what we can say, is e psi x. Now previous equation, since it is a free particle, since in a free particle, so equation 3 that we had taken the Schrodinger wave equation, time independent condition, there we have e psi x is equal to minus h bar square upon 2m del square psi x upon del x square plus v psi x, right? Now since it is a free particle, therefore naturally its v is going to be 0, and therefore the equation 3 can be written like this, right? This is what I have represented over here, right? So let's rearrange this. So if I'm going to rearrange this, then what we can say here, this will come on the left hand side, and the del square psi x upon del x square plus 2m e upon h bar square psi x is equal to 0, and this is your, after rearranging, that we have formed, right? Now here what we are taking, now here you see 2me upon h bar square is your constant. And this equal to, we are saying, let us suppose this equal to a constant and this equal to your k. So this here I'm saying this equal to your k square, right? So what we have taken, 2me, 2 is the constant, m is the mass of the particle, E is the energy, and h bar is your Planck's constant, h bar is nothing, h upon 2 pi. So this value equal to, we are saying as k squared. So what we can say, this equation is going to be converted, this equation is going to converted as del square psi x upon del x square plus this value is your k square psi x is equal to 0, right? Can we say, where k equal to root under 2me upon h bar, because what we have taken, root under 2me upon h bar square equal to k square, so k equal to root under 2me upon h bar square. This is what the value of the k we have taken. Now what I am going to do, the value of the k that we have found, this value of the k I am going to substitute in your equation number 4, and then let us find out what is your equation 4, because why we are substituting this psi x, the solution of this equation, is given by a sin kx plus b cos kx, right? So let us find out, if I'm going to substitute the value of the k in the equation 4, then what is the value that we are getting? So psi x equal to a sin root under 2me upon h bar, right? Root under 2me upon h bar, right? X plus b cos root under 2me upon h bar, right? Here the under root is only up to here, because as you can see h bar square is there, it is only up to here, right? This is h bar is not under root, it was because it was here, it has your square, h bar square, so you should not get confused there. So root under 2me upon h bar square, so h bar, it will come out of the square root. So this is what I have substituted over here, a sin root under 2me upon h bar x plus b cos root under 2me upon h bar x, right? So this is the value of psi x, this is the solution of this, and this I am saying this is your next equation. Now I require to solve the value for a and the value for b. So these two value I require to calculate, then I will have the value of psi x, right? This is our one of the purpose. So what we are going to do over here, that let us try to understand this, then I'm going to in the next slide. So what we have taken is, here you had a highly infinitely long potential wall and the particle was there, right? This was your particle, and particle is moving, let us suppose, in positive x direction. It has come at the end of this wall. So how long it has traveled? Here it has traveled up to x equal to a. From x equal to 0, it has traveled to x equal to a. This is your value of a, right? Then what is happening? The moment it has come over here, it will return back. It is going to return back in this way, in this direction it is going to return. So it was coming like this, and after making the collision, it has returned back like this. So before it is going to return back, this is going to stop. So moment is going to stop here, what will happen? The velocity is going to be 0. So moment the velocity becomes 0, right? The moment the velocity becomes 0, then the particle has stopped. Momentarily the particle has stopped and the de Broglie wave will vanish. You will not have the wave associated with that, because what you said, de Broglie wave, lambda equal to h upon p. P is what? M into v, mass into velocity, that is the momentum. So the momentum value will become 0 because v value is becoming 0, so you will not have the de Broglie wave. Then again it has returning, and again it is resuming its velocity, right? So here again, so therefore again you will have your de Broglie wave in this way, right, with the change amplitude. And again while it is coming over here, that is at x equal to 0, again here this value is going to be 0, right? Because again before it is going to return back like this, it will have to stop. So again its velocity is going to be 0 over here, right? The velocity will become 0 over here and there will be no wave. This condition is called bonding condition. So where we can apply bonding condition? At x equal to 0 and at x equal to a, at these 2 points we can apply the bonding condition. And at the bonding condition, what is going to happen? This value of the psi x is going to become 0 because no longer the wave is going to be associated. So if there is no wave, there is no question of wave function. So psi x will not be there. This is what we are going to look into in the next slide. So let's see. So therefore what I'm saying, sine root under 2me upon h bar into a is equal to 0. Take the general value. So root under 2me upon h bar into a is equal to n pi. So sine theta equal to 0, theta is equal to plus minus n pi. So this is what I have taken, root under 2me upon h bar into a. Right, this is nothing, this is just like your theta. So this value is nothing, this is just like your theta. So root under 2me upon h bar into a is equal to plus minus n pi, where n is equal to 1, 2, 3 and so on. So what I am getting, root under 2me upon h bar into a is equal to n pi. So this value we have obtained and we are going to use this value. Now substitute this value root under 2me upon a into h bar in your previous equation, that is for your energy. So wherever you had calculated the value of your energy there, and what is that equation? This is your equation number 9. So root under 2me upon h bar is equal to plus minus n pi. So what I'm going to do here, forget everything here, I'm just going to rearrange this. So let us just rearrange this equation. Equation number 9, just you rearrange. So what I can say here, the value of E I'm going to find out. Here I'm going to find out the value of E. So square both the side. So what I can say, 2m into E upon h bar square a is equal to n square pi square. So then what is the value of E? E equal to n square pi square h bar square upon 2ma, right? A square, and this is the value of energy, and this is called your eigenvalues. So what we have calculated, what is the value of the energy within the potential box, right? What we have calculated, what is the value of the energy within the potential box? So E equal to n square pi square h bar square upon 2ma square. This is called your eigenvalues, right? The detailed representation of the energy I will be showing you there. Now here if I'm going to say n equal to 1, can n equal to 0 possible, right? So if I'm going to say n equal to 0, the value of the energy will be 0, which is not possible. Why it is not possible? Because now you see, according to your equation 8, what we have got, psi x equal to a sine root under 2me upon h bar into x, right? Now here if you are going to say that this value is coming to be equal to 0, then what will have? A sine n pi upon a into x equal to 0. So this value is going to be 0, isn't it? Right, because we have taken this value over here. This is the value that we have taken over here, right? So this value, if I'm going to say that n equal to 0, then this value from the equation 8, so this value is going to be 0. This value is going to be 0. Root under 2me upon h bar, this value is going to be 0. So naturally this psi x is coming out to be 0, right? So this is what I have written, that this value of this psi x will become 0. So naturally if the value of the psi x has become 0, it does mean particle is not there at all. So that is not possible. So zero energy is not possible. So from where it is possible, you will have to start from n equal to 1. So the value of n that over here you have taken, it should start from n equal to 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4. N equal to 0 is not possible. So whenever we are taking n equal to 1, what we are saying, E1 is equal to pi square h square upon pi square h bar square upon 2ma square, and that is called your 0 point energy. But why we call 0 point energy? Because exactly the 0 energy is not possible. So its minimum energy, a minimum energy will equal to you at n equal to 1, and that is called your 0 point energy, right? Similarly, let us find out what will be the value of the potential. So P equal to root under 2me, that we know. P equal to root under 2me, and E value I have already calculated in the equation number 10. So the momentum will be equal to n pi h bar upon a. This will be the value of the momentum of your wave. So you have calculated the energy and you have calculated the momentum. Both energy and momentum have been calculated. So energy will be called as your eigen function. eigenvalues, and the momentum is corresponding to that energy. We have calculated the value of momentum. Now we are going to calculate the value of eigenfunction. So let us look into. Thus, equation 10 and 11 indicate that energy and momentum of the particle inside the box can have only discrete value and are quantized. Why we are saying only discrete value? Because here you see here equal to n equal to 1, n equal to 2, n equal to 3. So what we have, let us suppose at n equal to 1 we are calling as E1, n equal to 2 what will have n square, so 4E1. Then n equal to 3, 9E1. So this value are discrete, it is not continuous. So from one energy to another energy, if you are going, let us suppose this is your first energy, this is your E1, this is your E1. So here let us suppose this is your E1. So from E1 you are going to the E2. From E1 you are going to E2. Let us suppose this is your E2, this is your E2. So here you will have the 4 times of E1. So between this you have a gap. Right, so therefore this is called your discrete energy. So it is not continuous. If it is the energy is varying continuously from year to year like this, then that is called your continuous energy. So what we are finding, this is your discrete energy. Energy is not continuous, and of course they are quantized. The integer n is called the quantum number. All right, now let us see the wave function. Now in case of the wave function, now what we require to find out, this is your psi x. What we have calculated is psi x we have already calculated using your boundary condition, because b was your 0. So psi x equal to a sine root under 2me upon h bar into x. This is the value of your psi x. Now what we require to find out, we require to find out where is the particle, right? So how we can find out where is the particle? We have to normalize this equation. So whatever be this equation, if I am going to normalize this equation, then what we can find? We can find the value of a. So what is the normalization? Mod of psi whole square dx within that space. So what is that space? Integral mod of psi whole square between 0 to a should be equal to 1. So this is what we are going to apply in this case. So substitute the value of the energy from equation 9, right? So in the equation 9, what we have calculated, root under 2me upon h bar into a is equal to n pi, right? So root under 2me upon h bar into a is equal to n pi, and this value I am going to substitute it over here. So what I am going to substitute, root under 2me upon h bar. Here you have root under 2me upon h bar, as you can see. So root under 2me upon h bar is equal to n pi by a. This a will come on the right hand side. So this is what I am going to substitute in your above equation. So your above equation is coming out to be equal to psi x equal to a sine n pi, because this is your n pi that we are taking, root under 2me upon h bar, n pi by a into x. This is your value of your psi x, and I am putting this as your next equation, equation number 12. So let's proceed, and this is what we are going to normalize this. That is the equation number 12 we are going to normalize, and we are going to find out what is the value of capital A, right? So to know the above function, we evaluate A, and this can be done by normalizing the function psi x inside the box. So how we can normalize? What we can say, mod of psi, this is your psi into psi conjugate into dx is equal to 1. So this we can also write mod of psi whole square dx is equal to 1 within limit 0 to a. So this is what we have done over here. So now psi x equal to how much? A sine n pi by a into x. So mod of psi whole square equal to how much? A square sine square n pi by a into x. So this is what has been substituted over here. A square is your constant, it has been taken out of the integral. So mod of psi whole square dx, right, within the integral from the limit 0 to a, and that value should be equal to 1, and that is called the condition of normalization. So what I have done here, this is your condition of normalization. So at this condition of normalization, right, I have just substituted the value of a, that is the psi x. The value of the psi x has been substituted, right, and conjugate value is also the same. So what we are saying, sine square n pi by a into x dx is equal to 1, and this integral we are going to solve to find out what is the value of this capital A, right? So now here what I have done is, here you have the a square. This a square has been divided by 2, and then this is going to be multiplied by 2, right? So then you'll have the formula 1 minus cos a is equal to 2 sine square a by 2. So here you'll have the 2 sine square a by 2. That formula I am going to apply. So this is what we have done, a square by 2. So here this has been divided by 2, here this has been multiplied by 2, and then you have the formula 1 minus cos a is equal to 2 sine square a by 2. So 1 minus cos a, this is what has been applied. So 1 minus cos 2, here I have already multiplied by 2, as you can see, 2 n pi by a into x dx is equal to 1. This will be your integral, right? Now let's integrate this. So integration of this 1 is there into dx. So this will be your integration dx. Integration of the dx is equal to your x, and this is your cos x. So integration of the cos x is your sin x, and then you have to divide it by your coefficients, right? So let's find it. So mod a square upon 2. So here this is your dx, the integration of dx is your a, and cos x integration is a sine. So sine 2 n pi by a into x, and of course you have to divide by 2 n pi by a, right? So you have divided by this coefficient of the x. So by the coefficient of the x you have divided, right? And then you have put the upper limit and lower limit. So upper limit is your a and lower limit is your 0. Here also we have given the upper limit and lower limit. So lower limit here also is 0, upper limit is a. So now let's open this limit. So if I am going to open the limit over here, so x equal to a minus 0. So here we are getting a. And now here you see, here upper limit I am going to put x equal to a, right? So this a and a will get cancelled. So then what you are getting sine 2 n pi. So it is the multiple of sine n pi, and sine n pi is going to be 0, right? So no need to solve it further. So this entire value you are going to get it 0, right? So this is what we are going to look into the next slide. So let us see this. All right. So this is what we have done over here. So mod of a whole square upon 2 into a, because only x value was there. So there you have put the condition x equal to a. So that value you are getting is equal to 1. So what is the value of your capital A? This value of the capital A you calculate. So what is the value? Root under 2 upon a, and that value you substitute in your function. So your function was psi x was equal to a root under a sine n pi by a into x. So for the value of a you have calculated root under 2 by a. So that there I have substituted, and this is your wave function. So the wave function psi x is equal to root under 2 by a sine n pi by a into x, where n equal to 1, 2, 3 and so on. So this is called your eigen function. So previous value was your eigen values, and this is called your eigen function. The above wave function meet all the requirement to be well behaved function for each value of n psi x, right? So any value of n you take, and del psi upon del x are single valued and continuous. Furthermore, mod of psi whole square dx within the limit 0 to a is finite inside the box. So this is your well behaved function. Now you see this diagram. Here in this diagram, the first diagram shows your energy values. So here this 0 energy value is not possible. So here you don't have, this is not your 0. It is starting from here, n equal to 1. So the 0 point energy, as you have in case of the classical mechanics, the 0 value is possible, but in the quantum mechanics 0 value is not possible. Why 0 value is not possible? Because all the atom, even at the absolute 0, will keep vibrating. So if the atom is going to vibrate, it will have a minimum energy, and that minimum energy is called 0 point energy, and that we have obtained at n equal to 1. So 0 energy is not possible. So it is starting from over here. So this we are saying n equal to 1. Then here you have n equal to 2. Here you have n equal to 3. And in this way, if you are going to the different position of the box, as you can see, the energy is slowly increasing. This is your E1, this is your 4 E1, this is your 9 E1, then you will have the 16 E1. So like this is how the energy is going to vary. Now here we have taken the wave function. So n equal to 1. So here you have n equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So n equal to 1, this is your one wave function. This is representing you lambda by 2, half of the wave, lambda by 2, right? This is your n equal to 2. So this is your lambda. As you can see, this is your complete wave. This is giving you the complete wave, lambda. So here you are getting the 2 modes. Then n equal to 3. So this is how you are getting 1, 1, 2 and 2 and 3 modes, right? So this is how, this is your for the different value of the energy, right? Now I have to find out the probability density. Where is the maximum probability to find the particle? So as you can see from your figures, in this here the maximum probability will be at the center. So this is where we have find out. Here we have got the maximum probability when it is at n equal to 1. But if it has come to the n equal to 2, so maximum probability can be over here and the maximum probability can be here, right? So this is what this has been taken up. This has been transposed. This part has been transposed over the upper part to find out the positive probability. So here you will have the maximum probability and here you will have the maximum probability, because wherever the amplitude is maximum, their probability will be maximum. And naturally at this point and at the end, right, the probability will be minimum. Similarly, if you are going to the n equal to 3, then here you have the maximum probability, here you have the maximum probability, and here you have the maximum probability, and at all the places here, and again at the end, as you can see over there, you will have the minimum probability. So this is your eigen functions, right? So in this way we have finished both the eigen values and eigen functions. Now let us, in conclusion, let us see some of the facts in this.